ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Already the last class. How did that happen so quickly? Time, I suppose, flies when fun is being had. That's the only explanation. So, going back to the text, let us see how we can, with the help of the text, tie together this wonderful message of the indweller, the one that is never separate from anything that it animates, anything that it brings to light. And moreover, it is the essence of oneself, it is the truth of the I, it is the truth of the whole Jagat, it is the truth of even that which we call Ishvara, because after all the Antaryami is Ishvara from a specific seen from a specific standpoint with a specific name. And continuing, I have, if you see the text, there are number of verses that have been skipped because they all are the same. Even Adi Shankara does not really comment on any one of them one by one, because the idea is if one thing has been understood, then you don't have to say each and everything. You have to don't have to comment on each and everything. So we skip first to verse number 15, and I included that so that we have some kind of a sense of a connection, and it has two important words at the end, adhibhutam and adhyatmam, that we have been studying. So it will give us a chance to revise that a little bit and make that go further, internalize it a bit more. Okay, so verse number 15 says, yaha sarveshu bhuteshu tishthan sarvebhyah bhutebhyah antarah, that which remains in all beings. Here also a certain summation is taking place. That which remains in all beings. And where does it remain in all beings? Within. Sarvebhyah bhutebhyah antarah. Within all beings. Yam sarvani bhutani naviduhu. That which all beings cannot discern, do not discern. And here again a caveat which we have been talking about with regard to the other mantras. In this mantra also it is applied. Cannot discern means, then what am I doing attending this class on Antaryami Brahmana if I cannot understand it, cannot discern it? Then that question may come. But that is not the point. The point is, cannot discern it as an object, cannot be objectified. Naviduhu, as an object. They do not, that which the beings do not know, like they know pot, like they know hat, cat, mat, rat, all these objects which has a name, which has a form, and then hat, cat, mat, rat, Antaryami. Nothing happens. Suddenly, because it is not belonging to that order of reality at all. Antaryami doesn't go along with hat, cat, rat, mat, bat. Why? Because hat is, because Antaryami is, mat is, because Antaryami is, a cat is, because Antaryami is, bat is, because Antaryami is. This is because Antaryami is, that is because Antaryami is. So the presence, Antaryami, is a limitless presence, has to be understood as Ishvara from the standpoint of a conscious, limitless presence, because of which everything is what it is, and which has no particular form, no particular name, no particular body, which as it were inhabits everything and animates everything, being with it, being within it, within, again within quotes. And so this is what so all beings do not know this because it is not an object, and this is going to be talked about it at length in the concluding verse, concluding mantra. We will see this a little more. uh, Yasya sarvani bhutani shariram. All beings are the body for this antaryami. Antaratma, I was going to say, same thing. All beings are the body for this. The body of the beings is the body for this. It's just, so beautiful. It doesn't have any particular body. Why? Because if the Antaryami had a body, then it would become one more thing in the universe. Then we have what? We have so many things. We have hat, cat, bat, rat, mat, and Antaryami. We have, we have all these things, and then Brahman, Antaryami, becomes one more thing that is counted, that is objectified using the what is that called? Using uh, certain criteria for objectification. What are the criteria for objectification? The criteria is that it should be available for certain means of knowledge, such as eyes, ears, etc., which it is not. That is why Sarvani Bhutani Naviduhu. But what is its body? Its body is as good as any body. Whatever body it illumines, that becomes its body. Like the crystal example we saw yesterday. You put yellow cloth and the crystal looks yellow without actually becoming yellow. That is very important to say. Without becoming yellow, it just appears yellow. That is what is called the apparent reality. Mithya bhutam jagat. So this jagat in the form of mithya appears in certain ways because of the presence of the Antaryami. The unchanging presence of the Antaryami illumines each and everything, and brings everything to light and allows something to be. So when you say flower is means flower exists. The existence of the flower does not belong to the flower. Then who does it belong to? Antaryami. The isness belongs to the Antaryami. Because we say flower is, and then what else? After a while, flower is not. But the flower is not means what? Still, the word is used because the is unchanging. Budding flower is, blossoming flower is, bloomed flower is, wilted flower is, and petal is, composted flower is, and another flower bush is. So you see, the is never goes, and the name and form keep transforming, keep transforming, and the is permanent. That's why in English, when you spell Ishvara, the first two letters are what? Is. Is. It's just fascinating. It's just so wonderful. This is how to remember. That is Ishvara. And what is this is ultimately? That S also you do lopa, and what you have is I. That Ishvara resolves into I, which is the first letter of Ishvara, therefore is I. So when you say Ishvara itself, it's an English Mahavakya because it starts with I and resolves into that I. Very, very nice. And so therefore, this is doesn't go. The is upholds everything. The is that never becomes is not is Antaryami. So if you look at the bloomed flower, a fully blossomed flower, and then if you say, where is Antaryami? The body of the flower is the body of Antaryami because the Antaryami is invisible, not an object of sight, not an object of hearing, not an object of inference, not objectifiable at all. But the presence is very much there. So the body of the flower is the body of Antaryami. In fact, the whole flower is nothing but Antaryami. There's just a small caveat. What is that? Antaryami is not just the flower. Because if Antaryami becomes the flower, then what will be the tree? What will be the mountains? What will be the seer? The truth of the seer, the essence of the seer. So therefore, it is all one way in Vedanta. Flower is nothing but Antaryami. Wilted flower, blossoming flower, budding flower, bloomed flower, all of it is Antaryami. Antaryami is not any one of them. So it temporarily shares the body without really becoming that. Another example we can take, which is in the sense of light, we can take the example of light. And then when we look at the example of light, we understand this even more clearly. So in the olden days, they did not have disco, they did not have any other, the concept was not there. However, to entertain children, there was some kind of what is that, a cover for the lamp, a clay pot with various shaped holes. Little doggy, bird, cat, sun, moon. Let us say 5 shapes are there on this, all cut out. A cut out pot, a pot with all the holes cut out in various animal and celestial body shapes: sun, moon, star, dog, cat, etc. And then you have a lamp, and it is placed on a plate with which you can turn with your hand, a moving plate. The lamp is placed there, and then the lamp is covered by this cover which has various orifices in the shape of many animals, plants, trees, sun, moon, etc. And this is done at night. And then the child who is crying, who is fussy, who will not eat its food, then the parents turn this light after covering the lamp, and then you see over here a wonderful dog. Then on the other wall is a tree. Then the lamp is made to turn. Then you see the star, you see the sun, you see the water, maybe there is river, everything is just cut out there, and the light is escaping, as it were. It's not really escaping, it's intact, and it's as it were escaping through these orifices and lighting up the whole room with an alternative jagat, a jagat designed to entertain children. A child's jagat made up of all its favorite objects. It is mesmerized. It keeps looking, oh, how nice. Oh, there is the birdie. There is the doggy. Oh. We can, look at this and say, oh, how cute, how awesome. But if you ask Ishvara, Ishvara will say, well, I'm doing the same thing for you, even though you are an adult. This is what I myself am doing. Nana chidra ghatodara sthitamaha deepa prabhabhaswaram jnanam yasya tu chakshuradikarana bahispandate जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभात्येतत् समस्तं जगत् Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. This is a wonderful verse from the hymn to Lord Dakshinamurti that is chanted every day in all the Dakshinamurti temples. And what does it say? This whole Jagat is, is just like this. One lamp of consciousness, one lamp of that unending light, that presence, one Antaryami in the form of this illuminer, the illumining light. And then what does it do? And then Nana Chidra Ghata Udara Sthita Mahadeepa Prabha Bhaswaram. So it is like the pot which is upturned with a lot of akaras, holes in its stomach, ghatodara, and then it is overturned onto this Mahadeepa, which is all light. How many lights? One light. How many akaras thrown on the wall? Many, many. Many akaras thrown on the wall. The thrown means kshepa, projection. There is a vikshepa, there is a projection to entertain the child. And so, for those which the Upanishad calls balaha, meaning childish, not childlike. That is jnani, childish jiva. So, for the childish ones, this Jagat appears as a source of endless, pursuits. Oh, now I'm going to catch the dog. Now I'm going to go after the bird. And then maybe, we can get innovative and carve out all kinds of things in this pot, which is upturned on this lamp. We can carve out, what else? Something that looks like a bank, financial stability, arthakama pursuits. And then something that looks like a vacation, another pursuit. Something that looks like something else, another pursuit, one more, one more, one more, one more, one more. It is endless. Endless kinds of pursuits. One is mesmerized, like even the child, which was colicky and having a tantrum, and the jiva is permanently colicky. Always some problem or the other because of the discontent. But colic has to do with the stomach. Exactly. The jiva cannot stomach anything. That is the idea. The jiva is unable to stomach anything. And so the jiva is complaining, colicky jiva. And so this is how the whole setup is. One Antaryami. And then when you look at that stream of light in the shape of the dog, the body of the dog is the body of Antaryami. The dog projected on the wall is nothing other than the light, but the light is not the dog. Dog is light, light is not the dog. Cat is nothing but a body of light, but then cat is nothing but light, light is not cat. And then you have, let's say, a bird, a crow. Crow is nothing but light. There is no real crow, it's just light. It's a stream of light in the form of a crow. Light is not crow. If you say that Antaryami is crow, if we say that we have to eat crow, because it will not be correct. It will not be correct at all, it will be wrong. So this is how to see it. So in this example, it becomes clear that one light, fluid, self-effulgent, lending its brightness limitlessly to all various, holes, orifices shaped in so many forms, in the forms and names that you see in the Jagat. And that light is not offended if you carve out and cut out one more akara. It won't say, no, I can't. I'm already illumining dog, cat, crow, tree. Now you are giving me one more thing. It will not say. Effortlessly, it will illumine that as well. So, Antaryami, that's why I keep saying the inner controller is the wrong translation. not just controller, the inner illuminer, the one that lends its presence. Satta spurti pradhanena bhasayati. The one that lends its presence to bring everything to light, the one that lends its sentience, consciousness, and touches everything and makes it alive, animates everything. Shuddha Chaitanya. That Shuddha Chaitanya which animates everything, that is what is being talked about. And so, therefore, it is not an object. It is not an object at all. It is, in fact, the nature, the content of the subject. So, see, the word subject also, when you say, I am the subject, and then all other things are the object, here too there is a duality, that subject object duality. That also has to be transcended, that also has to be accounted for in the vision of Advaita. So, the subject object duality is an apparent reality, because it is, when you say subject or even when you say witness, it is, it is in relation to something that is witnessed. In sleep, what are you the sakshi of? Nothing. You are not even the sakshi of sleep. Later on you recall you slept very well. So the sakshita, there is a laya for sakshita in sleep. The status of the witness resolves in sleep, because the mind goes into a causal state and there is nothing to witness. The jagat, there is a cessation of samsara, there is a cessation of the jagat, which leads some people to conclude, okay, I should just improve the quality of my sleep and then moksha is mine. Wrong. Okay, yeah. So, the idea is not to keep sleeping. That is not the idea. So, the idea is that even with the so called projected duality that is there, it has no power over me. Because, so here you see the subject object difference is transcended not by going to sleep and having there be a cessation of all objects. No, the subject object duality is transcended by this teaching of the Antaryami, which says, what is that? What is the object? The object is non separate from the Antaryami. Who is the subject? Nothing but the Antaryami. That is the beauty of it. So, therefore, what? That object which I see as separate from myself is pervaded by the Antaryami. And the seer, who is myself, is pervaded by the Antaryami. So, where is the subject object? No subject object. The duality is gone in the wake of the understanding that subject is an as though superimposition, so to speak, even though I don't like to use that term very much. Here I will indulge myself. So, is an as though superimposition upon that Antaryami which is free of all superimpositions. The status of object is an as though superimposition upon that Antaryami which is free of all superimpositions, is an as though projection. So therefore, what is true, what is sat, what is satyam is Antaryami. Everything else is a status that is conjured up magically, as it were, by the Antaryami with the help of Maya Shakti. So we are talking about names, forms, etc. So we are talking about various differences, object, subject, witness, witnessed, all these things. And all this is okay. All this is okay because all that is there is Antaryami alone. Everything else comes and goes, comes and goes. And if we take this example of the pot, the lamp with the pot overturned, sometimes what you can do, you can close up an aperture. Now the bird is gone. Then you can open up another aperture. Now the moon, the crescent moon has come. Now that is gone, something else has come. You can have so much fun. So, too, the whole Jagat, if we look at it like this, that same self illumined consciousness that is lending its presence to all names and forms, if we look at it like that, let's say there was a dinosaur shaped cutout. T Rex, one of the dinosaurs, short name, pet name. And then the T Rex was there, walked the earth millions of years ago. Huge raptors, and some of them flew, some of them walked, terrorized every other thing that was there. And then what? Now that cutout has been shut out, extinct, not there. Oh, but what if they come again? Doesn't matter. We can just, reinstate that cutout. Very nice. Same thing. Woolly mammoth, the antecedent, the precursor of the current day elephant. Some kind of a furry elephant, if you look at the drawings and everything, which also became extinct. And recently in Siberia, one thing this global warming is doing is melting the ice. As a result of all the frozen things are just coming to light. Very interesting. So, one woolly mammoth with its blood intact was excavated from an ice block in Siberia with all the melting glaciers and all these things because of global warming. Thousands of years old. I mean, to think that and it was a baby woolly mammoth. And when they cut it open to do an autopsy, the blood was fresh. It was that well preserved in the ice. Only Ishvara can do this, really. It's just so amazing. And like that, a couple of years ago, they also found a prehistoric puppy. A small 6-month-old puppy they found because of they could date it using the size of the teeth. 5-6-month-old puppy they found, and that again was dredged up when the ice blocks melted, and there again the blood was fresh, everything was fresh. It was like freshly frozen, and allowed them to harvest DNA to conduct research, all this. So, what does it mean going into extinction? Just one of those cutouts in this example is shut out. You just put a tape over it. Okay, it's no longer projecting. Very nice. But what if we discover a new thing? Well, we add another cutout, and then the light streams to through that aperture, bringing something to light. This is Adhidaivika. This is Adhidaivika on the level of Adhidaivika. This is what it is. Adhibhautika also we can say. This is Adhidaivika, and on the level of the grand manifester and the grand manifestation. And who is this Antaryami? Neither the manifester nor the manifestation, but without whose presence there is no manifester and there is no manifestation. How nice, how beautiful, and so profound. So this is what has to be seen, and then the same example we will use later to also illustrate the adhyatmam. Okay, so then that was the 15th verse says, yes, sarvani bhutani, sarvani bhutani antarah yamayati eshah te atma antaryami amritah iti adhibhutam. Iti adhibhutam. Adhibhutam includes adhidaivam. So adhibhutam means this is with regard to all the bhutas. When we look at our surroundings, the elements, the elementals, so many beings, so many bodies, so many names, so many forms, what are they all? They all run, they all walk, they all move in their own designated ways, they all fulfill their roles because of the presence of the Antaryami, who makes them do what they are supposed to do without really doing anything, without really being subject to action of any kind at all. This is what it does. And then with it, so what is the body of the Antaryami? The body of the Antaryami is the body of the thing that it is illumining. Just like when the light goes through the aperture, the light takes the form, the akara of the bird without really becoming the bird. Light is light, bird is light, and but light is not bird. This is what is mithya. Everything depends on the Antaryami. Without Antaryami, it doesn't have a leg to stand on. This dependent reality is what is called mithya. Antaryami is satyam, sat, self-standing, self-illumined, self-effulgent reality, which is not separate from the I. And then, so iti adhibhutam, the mantra says. So this is with regard to those akaras, those names, those forms, etc., which are centered on the surroundings. Adhibhutam. Atha. Now he says we are going to take up something closer to home, closer to oneself, in the sense of the body-mind complex. We are going to look at something closer to home, which is really one's own self. And then there's from verses 16 to 22, there is all these things. Yaf prane tishthan pranadantaraha yam prano na vedah. Yam prano na veda yasya prana shariram. And antastishtan yamayati. Te Atma. This is the Atma you wanted. This is your Atma. This is my Atma. This is the Atma of all. This is the Atma of the enemy. This is the Atma of the friend. This is the Atma of all creatures. Friendly creatures, scary creatures, inimical creatures. This is the Atma of all the beings, including Vayu, Prithvi, Apaha, Akasha, or everything. Agni, everything. And this is Amritaha, not subject to any kind of change and any kind of entanglement anywhere at any time. Then finally, the last one, verse number 23. यो रेतसी तिष्ठन् रेतसः अन्तरः यं रेतो न वेद यस्य रेतः शरीरं यो रेतः अन्तरः 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 यमयति एष ते आत्मा अन्तर्यामी अमृतः अदृष्टो द्रष्टा अश्रुतः श्रोता अमतो मन्ता अविज्ञातो विज्ञाता न अन्यतः अस्ति द्रष्टा न अन्यतोऽस्ति श्रोता न अन्यतोऽस्ति मन्ता न अन्यतोऽस्ति विज्ञाता एष ते आत्मा अन्तर्यामी अमृतः अतो अन्यद् आर्तम् ततोह उद्दालकः आरुणिः उपरराम. Very nice. So we'll translate the last line first. Ata, then what happened? Now what happened? Tataha. So now thereafter what happened? Uddalakaha Arunihi. Uddalaka of the Sayan, the lineage of Aruni, the son of Aruni. Upararama. Upararama means finally kept quiet. Until then he was very argumentative and he was making all kinds of threats and he was attracting, he was putting curses. If you don't know, and if you say your head will fall off. And if you drive away the cows before, those cows are Brahmagavi. And these cows which belong to the knower of Brahman, you who is Abrahmavit drives it away, then your head will fall off. This is my curse. So this fellow was very busy cursing him left and right, questioning him, and pulling him. What is that? Agitating somebody. Like a cat with a prey. Other things, birds also hunt, but the cat hunts in a very interesting way. So first it will give the mouse or whatever it is hunting one whack, and the mouse will see some whistles and stars and slowly come to, and then it will start moving a little bit. It doesn't know what happened, and then what will the cat do? Again, it will take it in its mouth, worry it, and then give it another whack and throw it on the floor. Again, the mouse, poor thing, is stunned. And then again it tries to crawl out. Again it gives it a whack. And that's how I think the adage came, where all the mothers tell their children, do not play with your food, okay, after seeing this cat only, perhaps. And so the cat plays with the prey. And so, like this, Uddalaka keeps stringing him, keeps trying to do things. First he says, you don't know. Anybody can say, I know, I know. If you really know, show me your knowledge. Prove it. Demonstrate it. Talk about it. Give an impromptu lecture. Come on. And then if you do this, and then don't drive away the cows, because if you drive away the cows without knowing this in advance, your head is going to fall off. Because what? You are a Brahmavit. He has already concluded. And now such an Uddalaka finally shuts up. Upararama ceases to engage, bringing an end to this particular section. This Antaryami Brahmana is ended. Why? Because Uddalaka has no more questions, no more doubts. Whether doubts about the Antaryami or whether doubts about Yajnavalkya's erudition, both are gone. And so Uddalaka quietly sits down in his seat, and the next Brahmana allows Gargi, the daughter of sage Vachakno, to get up and ask two questions. Very, very beautiful how this continuity is there. This is not a student teacher situation. This is, as I said, a situation of equals, where certain people are testing Yagyamalkya, testing his erudition, whether to let him into this select august assembly, this sabha of Panditas. That is why they are testing him. And Gargi, who is Brahmavadini, who was very well known for her knowledge of Brahman, and so she gets up and asks the next two questions. That is the next Brahmana, Akshara Brahmana. And that is also very, very worthy of study, very, very nice. We can study that some other time. But so this is how the whole thing closes. Very interesting. The chapter or the subsection here closes because there are no more doubts. When there are no more doubts, the Upanishad doesn't have anything more to say on this particular topic until and unless somebody else asks another question and then another topic starts. Which goes to show something very important, which goes to show that this knowledge is asked for. This knowledge is not driven by the teacher. This knowledge is driven by the Shrota, by the person who is desirous of seeking this knowledge. So when they ask a question, a guru is born. There is no such thing called guru. Guru is a relational word. When the student says, I invoke in you the one who has the ability to teach, and I invoke in you the teacher, then for that person or for those set of people, then the teacher is born. Teaching is born. Born again within quotes. Teaching is always there. The person who teaches is also always there. In some form or the other, somebody will be there who can teach. But that teacher, he will not teach unless this teaching is asked for. And even though Uddalaka asked very rudely, the teaching was given. And because it contained a narrative, so in that narrative we saw how humble Kapya was in asking for this knowledge, and how that knowledge was given to him, thereby keeping the teacher-student relationship intact. So now Let's now go with these words, we'll go to the final verse. And where is it? Here it is. So, yo retasi tishtan. Retas is reproductive material. So, that which is the truth of the DNA, that which is not the DNA, the truth of the DNA, the truth of the reproductive materials, egg, sperm, etc. That is Antaryami. And then, but then the reproductive organs do not know that it is there. This Antaryami is there. Why? Because they themselves are jada. Until and unless illumined by the Antaryami, they are dependent on that illumining. And also the second reason why, because they are, because this Antaryami is not an object, it is the very nature of the subject alone. And then, therefore, yam retaha na veda, yasya retaha shariram. So, what is the size of this Antaryami? What's the body of the Antaryami? The body of the Antaryami is the shape and the form right now of the reproductive material. Just like the water, water flows in certain ways. If there is a round round akara, the water will look round. Then you put it in a square pot, the water will look square. It takes on the shape and the size of that which it fills up, without becoming square, without becoming round, or without becoming cylindrical like when you pour it into a glass. That is what this Antaryami is. And then yaha retaha antaraha yamayati. Yamayati means that which regulates. How will this child be born? It regulates. It's amazing. What kind of kidneys will this particular baby have? Will it have any kind of a congenital defect that will be available on month number 5 sonogram, ultrasound? Or will it be healthy and it will not have any defects? This is all the job of the Antaryami, because here the physiological order of how babies are made, because nobody knows how babies are made really. You ask the mother, did you make kidneys? She will say, what are you talking about? I don't know how to make kidney. I can make kidney beans. I'll make for you. But I don't know how to make kidney. What are you talking about? Oh, mom, do you know how to make brain? And what will she say for the second question? She will likely say, I wish I knew how to make brain, because, beta, I would have given you a better brain so that you would not ask silly questions like this. Mother doesn't make the brain. Father doesn't make the brain. And for 9 months, she carries something. What she's carrying, nobody knows. How the bones are formed, it's all just avyakta, from avyakta to vyakta. And when she gives birth, you see a ready made human being, a small human being. It's a miracle. How does that happen? All because of the presence of Ishvara in the form of Antaryami. Without doing anything, there is so much intelligence there. So here we see in the baby making process, we see this beautiful synergy, the coalescing of the physiological order. All the 5 elements in the form of bones, flesh, baby bones, baby flesh, baby skin, baby eyes, tiny kidneys, the size of kidney beans, tiny little heart, tiny, small, miniature things, perfectly assembled. This is the physiological order. What a miracle. And then we see, what do we see? We see that interacting with the karmic order, there is an interface of the karmic order, which is also the realm of the Antaryami. We saw that in the Vayu example. And then in the karmic order, what do we see? Again, we see some fascination. Why this baby to these particular parents? Why should this baby have this particular parentage? And why should this baby be their first baby? Why should it be the firstborn, or the second born, or the last born? Why? Everything is because of that jiva, which is occupying this tiny body right now, which is going to come out, after a few months. Its karma is already set there. So fascinating. And so this tiny human being with a big voice, because it has to be heard. It has to be heard. That's why all babies have a huge voice. This is all for the sake of survival. Look at Ishvara's intelligence there. You see Ishvara there. Not just human baby. You see all the other babies. Somebody, sent me this, what is that? This Chinese panda, this black and white giant panda. So this giant panda, 400, 500 pounds, huge. And you think when it is pregnant and when it gives birth, it should be giving birth to a big baby. No. It gives birth to something that it looks like a rat, tiny. And it cannot see very well, the panda. So after it gives birth, it looks, where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it fall? Where is the baby? And the baby, Ishvara makes sure that the mother finds the baby, because otherwise the baby has no fur, nothing. It is just tiny, writhing somewhere it will be. And tiny little thing, it is only this big, few inches long, and looks nothing like the mother. A pink mess, a little pink blob, that's all. Small little pink blob, maybe 5-6 inches in length. And the mother keeps looking. Mother is not, is not able to see very well, perhaps not terribly bright. She keeps looking. Where did it go? Where did it go? And then it gives a cry for that small, tiny thing to have such a big voice. What a miracle! What a fascinating thing. I mean, it is just mind boggling. How did this happen? How could this happen? Ishvara. Then the mother says, if mother cannot see, short sighted, but then the mother goes towards the voice, picks it up, holds it, hugs it, puts it in its mouth, warms it up, all that the parenting starts. Amazing. Really amazing. And so this is what is Antaryami, that which gives the baby its being, and that which in the form of this intelligence, this Shuddha Chaitanya, is so cleverly giving this tiny little thing the voice, which is higher than so many decibels. It screeches, it squeals, it yells in order to be noticed, in order to be cuddled, in order to be loved up. In other words, in order to survive. Its survival depends on its voice. So too the human baby, totally helpless, cannot do anything. Yet it will cry, it will belt out the cry so that the mother and the father can take care of it. So this is what it is. So beautiful. This is the Yamanam, Yamayati, and this Yamayati, and then Atma Antaryami. This is the Te Atma Antaryami. Up till here it's common with all the other previous mantras. Te Atma, this is your Atma that you're talking about, that you wanted to know, albeit very rudely. And this is your Atma. Mamacha Atma, my Atma also. Your Atma, his Atma, her Atma, everybody's Atma. This is the Atma which is Antaryami, which is that which is beyond everything, which has no particular form, which illumines everything, which directs everything to do what it is supposed to do without itself doing anything. Mahavakya here, and then little bit it continues. And why does it continue? Because earlier it was promised atha adhyatmam. Now we are going to talk about adhyatmam. Adhyatmam means that which pertains to oneself. So let us read that part. Adrishto drashta. Swayam adrishtah, invisible by itself, but the seer of everything. First, we'll just translate, okay, and then we'll look at how this is possible. Then, Ashrutaha. It is unheard of. It is not an object that is heard, yet it is the hearer of everything. Amataha. It is not an object of thought, yet it is the manta. It is the thinker. It is the truth, the content of the thinker. Avijñātah. It is not known as an object, yet it is the knower of all. Na anyato asti drashta. No other witness is there. No other hearer is there other than the Antaryami. No other thinker is there other than the Antaryami. No other knower is there other than the Antaryami. And this is what it is. And then Vijñāta, no other knower is there other than the Antaryami. This is what is Antaryami Amritaha. And then Ataha Anyat Artam, Tato, that we have seen, Tato Uddalakaha Arunihi Upararama. So this is, what does this mean? What does this mean? Na anyadasti shrota, na anyadasti manta, na anyadasti vijñāta. These are actually very common phrases in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and in the Chandogya Upanishad. The 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad begins with this pratigya, with a statement, a provisional statement which is going to be unfolded, which says, Yena vijñātena sarvam idam vijñātam bhavati. Knowing which everything is as good as known. Seeing which everything is as good as seen. Hearing which everything is as good as heard. So that means what? There is only one thing to know. There is only one thing to understand. And understanding this one thing, everything is as good as known, as good as understood, as good as experienced. So what is this thing? And this is something, this is there in the Chandogya. Elsewhere also in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says, Natu drashtuhu viparilopaha syat. So the seer is never absent. Why? Because the Antaryami is the seer of all seers. So even if the local seer, from the standpoint of one endowed with his body, mind, sense complex, is asleep and not seeing anything, the Antaryami is what is called Atma as Alupta Drik, the seer that is never absent. The non-absent presence, the presence that is never subject to absence, which is there in the form of the seer, which is always there, unchangingly so, bringing everything to light. And to understand this, we'll go back to the same example. What was that example of the pot upturned, with the pot with various apertures being overturned, upturned onto a brightly burning firebrand or a lamp? In this instance, I will ask you to visualize the pot with 5 apertures. 5 apertures. Why 5 apertures? 5 sense organs, representing the 5 sense organs. So the eyes that see, how does the sight take place? That same light of that inner being, the Antaryami, goes through the eyes and then envelops something that needs to be seen, brings it to light. Goes through the ears and then envelops the object to be heard. Maybe a piece of music, maybe a mantra that one has to identify which Upanishad is this from. Like that, goes out and catches that and brings it to light. Objectifies that and brings it to light. Then goes out through the nose in the form of the olfactory nerves and brings what to light? The neighbor frying pakodas, brings it to light. Ah, very nice. Brings it to light. Same Chaitanya. That same conscious being. Amazing. And then what else is left? The sense of touch. Again, you touch something, a small furry kitten, a small puppy, so soft. And then that softness is again brought to light. That sensation is because of that Antaryami, traveling as it were through the sense of touch, effortlessly inhabiting the sense of touch, and at the same time inhabiting that object, the little fur ball that needs to be objectified, and then bringing it to light without either being the kitten or being the sense of touch or being the one that is touching, because it is everything without being any one thing. What else is left? Taste. Yeah, taste. Sometimes they have some kind of a blind taste test. And then they close the eyes. They will shut the eyes with a blindfold and then open your mouth, put something into it. Oh, I know this. What is this? What is this? I can't, put my finger on it, but I have tasted this many times. It is sweet and it is something which is very familiar. Then you can't stand it. You can't stand not knowing. And then you tear off the blindfold. Oh, Gulab Jamun. What is Gulab Jamun? For the uninitiated, it is a ball of calories. That's all. That's the way to understand it. Okay. Yeah. So, oh, it is this, it is this, it is this. And what does the knower say? Janami, Janami. I know, I know this, I know this. This is a soft fur of a puppy. I know this. This is a sweet which I really like. I know this. I know this, I know this, I know this. And this is how the whole thing goes. I know this, I know this. Janami, Janami, Janami iti. And what is this Janami? Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Because it is in the nature of light. Light means that which has the power to bring everything to light. Because it is in the nature of light, everything comes to light. That light alone, when it is there, then everything is known, everything is heard, everything is seen, everything is experienced. That light lights up the knower, lights up the known without being either the knower or the known. That lights up everything without being any particular thing, because like we see in this example of the pot with various orifices, so that which is in the form, the light which streams in the form of the eyes is not opposed to that same stream of light which ensues as a pair of ears. Same thing. Without being the ears, it masquerades as the ears. It does the job of the ears, and in fact the body of the ear is its body, but it really doesn't require a body, it doesn't have a body. So therefore what? It is limitless, it is free, it is whole. It as though allows the ear to do their job, allows the ear to identify sounds, allows the eyes to see and identify the objects of sight, without ever becoming an object, without ever becoming an objectifier. And that is what is expressed here. And let us read further. Yeah, we have read further. So some more things, to talk about this. This is this is what is called Adhyatma, because just to fill in the blanks, verses 16 to 21. Yeah, this one is 23. Yeah, 16 to 22 had various things connected to the body. Who, that Antaryami who inhabits the nose and is within the nose, which the nose does not know, and whose body is the nose, and who regulates the nose from within, is this internal Antaryami and your own self, which is yourself. And then afterwards, the speech, that which inhabits the organ of speech but is within the organ of speech, which the organ of speech does not know. You get the idea. Then after that, eyes. Then after that, ears. Verse number 19, ears. And then verse number 20, mind. And then verse number 21, skin, the sense of touch. And then verse number 22, the intellect, the buddhi, that which inhabits the intellect and is within the intellect, but the intellect is unaware, buddhi does not know, whose body is nothing but the buddhi, and who makes the buddhi do its job without really becoming the buddhi or without really doing anything, is that Antaryami, which is yourself. This is what we had discussed, and so therefore we have this this is this is the this is what is the culminating verse here, verse number 22. Your own self, everything else other than this Atma is what? Ataha anyat artam. Artam means subject to becoming, perishing, subject to death. It is the only deathless, changeless thing. And why should we say it? Here also we should do what is called the T has to be taken away from it. The I is the one that is free. Free of death, free of mortality. And then what happened? Aruni, this is the knowledge that basically shuts up Aruni completely. We just look into the Bhashya because it's very, very beautiful. So then, little bit of the Bhashya we will see. Adrishtaha. Adrishtaha means what? Adi Shankara explains. Na drashta na vishayibhutah chakshur darshanasya kasyachit. Na drashta, not the seer. Not the seer, na vishayibhutah, not that which is objectified by sight. Very beautiful. Neither the seer nor the seen. Then what is it if it's not the seer or the seen? It lends its presence to the seer, it lends its presence to the seen without ever becoming seer or seen per se. How? Like even the same ocean, sports 2 or 3 waves. Seer wave is not opposed to the ocean, is not opposed to another wave that is called the seen wave. And then there is the mode of sight that is also there, another wave. See, pramata wave, knower wave, drashta wave, seer wave. And then drik wave, seer wave, drishya wave, seen wave. And then darshanam, the way in which sight takes place, that is also another wave. All of them are unopposed to each other, unopposed to the ocean. All of them are nothing but the ocean. But the ocean is not any one of them. Wave is ocean, ocean is not wave. Same thing here. The seer is Antaryami. The truth of the seer, the truth of the content of the seer is Antaryami. That because of which the status I am seer, janami, pashyami is possible. That statement aham pashyami is possible because of which is Antaryami. And if the object of sight could talk, if the pot could talk, pot would say, aham, aham drishya. I belong to the drishya jatam, drishya varga. I belong to that which is seen. If the pot could say, if the pot had a human mind, if it had a subtle body, it would say that. But I am the one who brings the pot to light. And who is this I? Antaryami amritaha. Te Atma, your Atma, my Atma, the Atma of all. This is the definition of the I according to this Antaryami Brahmana. This is the definition of the I. No other definition is there. And then, so adrishtaha, and then swayam tu chakshushi sannihitatvat drishis swarupaha iti drashta. Then why is it called drashta, seer? in the what's its name, in the passage, in the mantra, it is called seer. Why? Swayam tu, by itself, what is its? Chakshushi sannihitatvat, because of being in close proximity to the eyes, it is drishis swarupaha. It is the swarupa of sight, without becoming seer seen. Why is it close to the eyes? It's not close to the eyes. Sannihitatvat shouldn't be taken as close. It is in fact the truth of the eyes. That Antaryami is within, so to speak, the eyes, because any kind of a preposition we use, close to the eyes, within the eyes, next to the eyes, is insufficient, because it is everywhere. Then tatha ashrutah, in the same manner, it is not an object of hearing, so it is unheard of. Shrotra gocharatvam anapannaha kasyachit, because it is never the object of sight. It is not what is that? It is not gochara. Gochara means an object of hearing. Swayam tu alupta shravana shaktihi. But what is it? So is it deaf? It is not deaf. It hears everything. Alupta drik, alupta shrota. Alupta means never absent. Nothing escapes it. There is nothing other than this. Nothing escapes it. It is always there. It is the hearer. Without becoming the hearer, it hears everything, because of which no sound, no sight can take place, no hearing can take place, no sound is produced, no status of hearer is produced either. And then tatha, in the same manner, amataha means not an object of thought. It cannot be an object of thought. Why? Adi Shankara helpfully explains. After all, he says, manas sankalpa vishayatam anapannaha. So it is not something that becomes an object of thought. Why? Drishtashrutehe eva hi sarvaha sankalpayati. Because what do people think of? People think of things that they see and things that are heard. So if it is not an object of hearing, it's not an object of sight, of course it's not an object of thought. Simple. So beautiful. Very lovely. Then further, then we have tatha avijñātah. Avijñātah means nischaya gocharatam anapannah rupadivat sukhadivat va swayam tu alupta vijnana shaktitvat sannidhanat cha vijñāta. So nice. So there is no seer other than Antaryami, no hearer other than Antaryami, no knower, nothing. And then what else? The one who is never known or grasped, like you grasp a color, red, etc., or like sukha, pleasure, etc. But he himself, this Antaryami itself, is the knower, because it is alupta vijñāta. It's a limitless intelligence, and sitting close to every buddhi, every brain, it illumines that brain. Just by its very proximity, it, as it were, illumines the buddhi without becoming the buddhi. Okay, yeah, so this is that particular mantra. And then further, then Adi Shankara talks about this very nicely. Tatra yam prithivi na veda, yam sarvani bhutani na viduhu, iti cha anye niyantavyaha vijñātaha anyaha niyanta antaryami iti praptam. There is a caveat here that Adi Shankara gives. These repeated statements, whom the earth does not know, but who is within the earth, whom the mind does not know, yet who is within the mind, who the seer does not know, who is the truth of the seer. These kinds of statements, whom no one knows, etc., we may wrongly conclude that all of us, including the five elements, earth, etc., are different from that Antaryami. There is Antaryami who controls, and then there is the controlled, like even that puppet. So there is the wooden puppet that is separate from the one who is wielding the strings and making the puppet do Bharatanatyam dances. Very different. And then what do we have in place of Advaita? Alas, we have Dvaita. And to preempt this presumption of difference, the text goes on to say, there is no other witness but Antaryami. There is no other hearer but Antaryami, no other thinker but Antaryami, no other knower but Antaryami, etc., etc. That Antaryami, there is no other witness, hearer, thinker, knower, who is never seen but is the witness, who is never heard but is the hearer, who's never thought but is the thinker. That is the one, which is talked about in this way, so that in the ultimate summation of this vision, we don't have even a lesha, even a surreptitious presence of duality. Even a whiff of duality has to be removed. And so therefore it tad anyatva ashanka nivrityartham uchyate. So this kind of a doubt may not be there. Therefore it is said, na anyato ataha na anyah ataha asmat antaryaminah anyah nasti drashta. No other presence is there. Presence means Antaryami. Seeing means Antaryami. Seer ultimately Antaryami. No other seer other than Antaryami. But why not say seen? Because this teaching is being addressed not to the seen, but to the seer. You. That is why it is addressed like this. Otherwise, it would be for the Drishya Varga, there is no use saying this. So therefore, you are the one who is addressed. The sadhaka is addressed here with the words, there is no other seer other than this Antaryami. The content of the seer is Antaryami. Seer, seen, seeing, mithya. Mithya status is mithya projection, mithya everything, and Antaryami alone is Satya. Mithya means all these are statuses depending upon the Antaryami. Hearer is Antaryami, Antaryami not a hearer. Seer is Antaryami, Antaryami is not the seer. Like this. And so it goes on and on like this. All the things are covered with regard to Adhyatma, which is where the problem is. The problem of self-ignorance is with Adhyatma alone. And so therefore it ends on this note, so that the person who is studying this is free of the self-ignorance, which leads them to conclude that there is some Antaryami out there who is controlling my sight, who is controlling my hearing. And already I have controlling people in my life, and therefore I have control issues, and therefore I cannot study this. Big block. This is not there. न अन्यतो अस्ति श्रोता, न अन्यतो अस्ति मंता, न अन्यतो अस्ति विज्ञाता. No other. Everything is that alone. Seer is that alone. No other witness, no other thinker, no other knower. And the one who is the, who is that, yasmat paraha nasti drashta. No other thing other than that seer. Seer is, Antaryami. The truth of the seer, the content of the seer. I as the seer, Antaryami. I as the hearer, Antaryami. I as the thinker. I as the one who is the knower, Antaryami. And this, and who is this Antaryami? Amritaha. Amritaha means what? Amritaha means not subject to death. But what does that really mean? Sarva samsara dharma varjitaha. free of all the attributes of samsara. Not a whiff of samsara, not a little overlay of samsara, no hangover of samsara is there. Samsara means duality. Samsara means some sorrow or the other. That's what samsara is. And then samsara means limitations, notions of limitations that are taken to be ultimate. Samsara means a life of becoming famous, becoming good, becoming rich, becoming this, becoming successful, becoming something or the other. When? All the time. All this is samsara, 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 samsara. And then that's why it leads to some sorrow or the other. And then therefore the one for whom sarva samsara dharma varjitah, the one that is completely devoid, varjitah, devoid of all the attributes of samsara. Sarva samsarinam karma phala vibhaga karta. This is very important. But the one for all the samsaris, the one who are in samsara, is distributing the karma phala. Karma phala means gives the karma phala, and the one who is distributing the karma phala, that is the one. And this is Antaryami, Ishvara. Ishvara as karma phala data. This is how also the Shvetashvatara Upanishad concludes. Karmadhyaksha. This is where the Ishvaratvam comes in. So this Antaryami as Ishvara, not separate from who you are. Very, very lovely, very beautiful. So the one that is there, Sarva Samsara Dharma Varjitaha, but Sarva Samsarinam Karma Phala Vibhaga Karta. Vibhaga Karta means the distributor, the divider of the fruits of karma. For all the people who are caught in samsara, who are yet to come to Arshavidya, who are yet to study any of this. That is, so for them, the one who are, karma phala hog, the one who is working for karma phala. All actions are for phala alone. And so the one becomes who is addicted to karma phala. For them, the one who distributes according to each one's karmic trajectory, that is the one. Eshate atma antaryami amritaha. And then asmad ishvarad atmanah anyad artam. This asmad ishvarat, other than this Ishvara, which is what one's own Atma, Adi Shankara says, Anyat Artam. Everything else is perishable. Everything else is subject to sorrow, subject to finitude, subject to destruction. This alone, that is you, unchanging, ever the same, and that which dismantles any kind of duality between seen, hearer, heard. Heard is itself this Antaryami, because of which something is heard. Hearer, again, the truth of the hearer, Antaryami. No other witness other than Antaryami. Then is Antaryami hearer? No. Antaryami is Antaryami. Hearer is Antaryami. Antaryami is not just the hearer, because then it has to inhabit the seer. Then so is Antaryami seer? No. Seer is Antaryami. Antaryami is not the seer. That who is this Antaryami? You. Te Atma. And then after that, what happened? The extremely rude, the Uddalaka who accosted sage Yagyamalkya very rudely, saying your head is going to fall off, etc., etc. Upararama. Completely, kept quiet. And so with this the text ends, and then we'll say the closing prayer. Now, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.